Thank you for having me, and I'm here to speak with you today about a very new concept, branding, but in the new normal. I want to tell you what the new normal is first, and that way we can understand each other through this conversation. I think we all agree that this is a new time in history. Our consumers are not the same anymore. Have you ever seen a 3-year-old hold a tablet? It's shocking, right? They understand something that we do not understand, and it is innate. It is natural inside them. Well, we as brand leaders have a new responsibility. We cannot do things the way that we used to do it. In the new normal, we have to speak differently, act differently, and respect our customers in completely new ways. So I'm going to share this concept with you, and at the end of the presentation, I'll give you 7 steps that you can apply to your business immediately. But I want to apologize first. I travel almost every day. In April, I was on 30 airplanes in 1 month. I wish that on nobody. Last week, I was in Malaysia. The week before that, I was in Canada. So I don't get a lot of time to build PowerPoint presentations. So I draw, and I'm not an artist, not even close to an artist. But I'm on the airplane, and I'm sitting there with my colors. And so to prepare my presentation for you today, I had to sort of put it on the wall and just remind myself about what I was going to share. So I did draw these pictures, but I did it for a specific reason. All of you are accustomed to seeing PowerPoint slides, bullets, 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 and you realize that that's not how you think anymore, right? Same thing goes for our customers. They don't think like that anymore. We have to be more creative in the way that we engage. So I want to speak with you about the modern process for developing brands. We call it strategic brand development. In the 50s, you could just make up an answer and put it on an advertisement, in a TV commercial, etc., and the consumer didn't have the power to question you. What you said was truth. But in the new normal, they have the power to question. And so everything that you do has to be part of a strategy. You can't just say, hey, ad agency, come up with a very funny campaign that all my customers will laugh at. Because if you get their attention for a second, it does not mean that you have a relationship with them that they will return to. So this strategic brand development concept I teach in business schools in the United States at UCLA and USC business schools. I travel around as a speaker and get to share with audiences like yourselves. And then I run a company that does just this. It's called Innovation Protocol, and we are brand developers for organizations like yours, but that understand that this isn't about a snap idea. This isn't about Don Draper in Mad Men sitting in a room and coming up with some crazy idea. That doesn't work in the new normal anymore. The brand is a strategic asset. You have to think about it like a business plan. You have to engage your customer consistently over time for them to truly believe in you. And that is why I want you to think about it as a process, not a brand answer. So let's get into the details. I know you're wondering, why is this guy standing on the stage? What does he know that we don't know? And truth be told, everything that I'm going to share today, as a consumer, you already know. I want you to think as the business leader. So let me tell you where I'm coming from. In 1980, if someone was diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, ADD, that was considered a really big problem. You would put them in a psychiatric ward. Well, I was put in that psychiatric ward, and in that psychiatric ward, they solve your problems with medications. I see some smiling faces. I'm not the only one who went through this. But it's interesting. They sit you in a room, and they tell you to calm down, stop thinking, and they put this medication in your mouth. And so I got to see what it was like to think like other people. I could understand how you could sit down for an hour, 5 hours, 8 hours, and read the same book the whole time. But of course, the medication wore off, and I got to see how I was really thinking, how I'm aware of all of the people walking in the back of the room, all the technical people behind the stage, all of the colors and the lights, everything that's going on right now as I'm speaking to you. It is bleeding into my consciousness. So you can imagine that this has also made me very attuned to marketers and what they're really trying to say. Well, what I also saw as a child was not only that corporations were trying to get my attention, but every single human is also broadcasting, also projecting Look around this room. Look at the outfits that you're wearing. Look at your clothes and your hair and your glasses. This is intentional, right? You picked these things to show who you are and how you feel. Well, every single one of you is constantly broadcasting. So me, with my attention deficit disorder, having a hard time paying attention, well, I barely got into college with this problem. And the only thing that I could do in college that they said was okay was that I could be the school mascot. Mascota, yeah? The school mascot. They said, if you put on this costume, we'll let you be in school. So for 3 years, oh, by the way, this is for University of California, Irvine, and the school mascot is Peter the Anteater. I don't know. Anyway, I'm running around as Peter the Anteater, and something special happened to me because I have the same brain. I still have attention deficit disorder in the costume. So I'm running around and getting people excited. I know, it doesn't look natural, right? Running around, getting people excited, and something really special happened when I was in that costume. Competitors from other schools hugged me. The presidents of the universities hugged me. Children, men, women, it didn't matter. Everybody was willing to hug the anteater. And what I learned inside that costume, I know you know is truth. Every one of us wants to be loved. That is the only thing we're fighting for every single day. In our careers, in our families, you pick. The highest order of living is to give and receive love. Well, this is not a secret. Every band in the world has sung a song about love. We all know this. Beatles, All You Need Is Love, right? Okay. I'm not a good singer either. But what's important about this concept is that it wasn't left to just humans. Businesses figured this out very quickly. They know that if you like them, if you love them, that you will buy from them more often. So businesses started creating these identities so that you could love them. And it didn't stop with the businesses either. The political parties, they recognize that if you don't know who you are or the way they think, there's no way you're going to join their political party. So they got specific. They started giving their political parties names and colors and animals to represent their identities because they recognize that you will not vote for an organization. You will not vote for a philosophy that you've never heard of. Same thing for nonprofits. Nonprofits, philanthropies. They realized quickly, like religion, that people will not care about your religion, will not care about your charity if you don't give them something to care about. Let's take religion as a perfect example. How about the 10 Commandments? We have all heard of the 10 Commandments, yes? Okay? 10 rules for living. But the religions didn't say, here are the 10 rules, thank you. They said, there are these people, and they lived in these cities, in these special places, and all of these events occurred that resulted in the 10 Commandments. And that's what helped people remember. That's what helped people care about their stories. So the nonprofit world recognized this also. They realized that you were tired of hearing about murder and sickness and death. So they created these positive attitudes that you can emotionally connect with. One of the most successful examples of this is the Livestrong Foundation, right? Lance Armstrong and Nike came together. There are hundreds of other cancer research institutions in the world. We didn't need another one, but they recognized that the consumer, we, the masses, we don't know those cancer research institutions. We can't name them, right? We can't name them. So quickly, they put together a story, and in fact, it was made up, right? In the end, Lance Armstrong was lying. But what matters here is that corporations, political parties, religions, nonprofits all get that if an audience loves you, they will come back. And they did not stay silent. They started talking. They started advertising and marketing and doing public relations and trying to get people to pay attention to them. And I don't think that this is a big deal. I didn't think it was a big deal until I did this analysis. In the early 1900s, there was a device called the wireless, which was actually the AM radio. It was called the wireless back then. And the whole family would sit around the radio for hours. Some of us remember those times. The whole family, even the neighbors would come over, and we would focus. We would close our eyes and listen to the broadcaster speak. That was the only technology interrupting our day. How about all the technologies interrupting our day today? Think about how many devices, how many pieces of technology are trying to interrupt you. We've got satellites and GPS and mobile devices and tablets. And I know that that doesn't sound like a lot, but compare the radio in the living room to today's living room. This is real data I got from a Fortune 100 company about a family on Sundays at 3 o'clock. 2 televisions going at the same time. 3 tablets. 5 mobile devices, 1 for every person in the family, including the 3-year-old. There are internet communications going on. They're planning out their calendar for the week. They're having verbal conversations. I think we can all respect that no human can consume that much information. It's too much, right? It's too much information. And not only is it too much information, but it's to annoy us. We get frustrated, right? We turn the radio down. We fast forward through commercials. Okay? This is a new resistance. We're now defending ourselves before they've ever started speaking. And not only are we defending ourselves, there's a whole nother level of communication going on, isn't there? We take the devices, fine, plenty of devices. Now you add social media on top, and I know that some of you in the room are still wondering, is social media going to matter? Is this a phase that we're going through? Not only is it going to matter forever, I want you to recognize that there are 10 rebellions going on in the Middle East right now. 10 civil uprisings where finally the citizens have the power to communicate. We didn't give them weapons. We didn't give them politics. We gave them communication. And 10 governments have been overthrown because of the power of social media. Not only do I believe that it's here to stay, this is the most powerful communication tool in history. This is the weapon of mass communication. The weapon of mass communication. But respect that we're still figuring out. This is like the Wild, Wild West. Really it is. And I know that's why you're scared. Because if you ask me, who's done social media perfectly? I don't have a good answer. I know that there are examples of really good concepts, but long-term communication strategy built in social media, we haven't gotten that far yet. And that's why you're here. That's why you're willing to understand these new ideas. So remember that your customer is naturally in a state of defense now. Their default is, you don't have the right to talk to me. Don't interrupt me. Don't stop me when I'm driving. Don't stop me when I'm watching television. That hurts my feelings. That annoys me. You have to engage, because the mentality in the new normal is no longer, I believe you. The mentality now is, I question you. Even if you're a museum, even if you're the government, it doesn't matter who you are that's communicating. What matters now is the consumer defaults to question. So, why do they question? What happened that shifted their mentalities? Well, what happened was, for their whole life, they believed in their religion. For their whole life, they believed in their government. For their whole life, they believed in their university, in their nonprofit, in the corporation that their family worked in. Something really scary happened. Social media just blew open the doors on all of these organizations, and these organizations are standing there naked. All of their secrets are coming out, right? Respect that there is not a religion that is not under question. There is no government that isn't being scrutinized. This is a very scary time for the consumer, because these are the organizations that they believed in. This is where they emotionally attach themselves. And not only do they emotionally attach themselves to these organizations, but these organizations overcommitted, delivered. Underdelivered. We're really disappointed, aren't we? Doesn't it hurt our feelings when our government? Doesn't it hurt our feelings when our religious institution does things that we do not believe in? It hurts you at your core. Your consumer is damaged now. And not only are they damaged, I'm not trying to suggest that these institutions and these corporations and these nations are bad. They're not bad. They were just built for a time right before now. All this time, they were perfect for that time. Now, we are in the new normal. It's just a new time in history. So we can give them permission to have made those mistakes. But the reason why this is most important for you as communicators is because now that the consumer can't 100% believe in their religion, can't 100% believe in their nation or their institution or their corporation, what's left for them to believe in? And the most scientific minds in the room are probably saying, consumers don't need anything to believe in. That's ridiculous. But if you've ever studied human behavior, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we learned that first we want safety. Then we want shelter. Then we want food and water, consistent access to those things. But what happens once we have them? What happens when we're safe and fed, we've got a mate? Then what? Then what do we have next? Well, we want something to care about, something that we could really think about, something that we can cherish and study and read about and share with our friends and family, something that we can get emotionally enwrapped in, right? Every single one of us knows this is true. We have our favorite team or our favorite band. What is a team other than a bunch of rented humans in matching costumes representing your city or country, right? Or a band, right? What is a band other than a bunch of people singing one person's songs? The writer of the song. Everyone else is just participating in the system. But you respect that you love your team. You will never miss, every time they're playing, you will never miss. Your favorite band goes on tour, and you're there in the crowd, screaming along, singing those words, emotionally engaged, right? The point in all of this is that in the new normal, there is a void. There's a void, a space in the belief ecosystem, in the systems of beliefs that we've so carried ourselves by every day. There is a massive void. And the question that I'm posing to you now, as the new normal thinkers, as strategic brand builders, who's going to fill the void? Who is going to fill the void? You. Your story, your business, your reason to believe, why I should actually care about your company and your employees and your products and your influence. You have got to give me something to believe in. Not only do I not have other things to believe in, but I'm hungry for it. I am waiting to believe in you. And I respect that this is a tough question. How do we, as brand marketers, build a connection with our audience? We can learn so much from these guys. These guys actually did a phenomenal job before. Let's think about what they did and how we can apply this to our businesses every day, all right? So let's start. First of all, these organizations recognized that they had constituents, audiences that they were trying to keep in their systems, right? And so they figured out very quickly that all you need is a common topic, Group A, Group B, Generation C, the connected generation, baby boomers. Pick. I don't care who the audiences are. There is a common center. Both audiences can absolutely emotionally engage in. And that common topic is bolstered, benefited by a belief system. I'll show you how simple this can get. You basically pick a topic, and the topic can be a person. Richard Branson, fine, right? Just a person. And if you look at all of the Virgin businesses, there's something like 300 of them in history. There is nothing that is the same about them, right? Nothing that is the same. except for him, the chief believer. So, you take a topic, and then you expose your audience to a system of belief that support that topic. I'll give you an example. A lot of you have asked me where I'm from in the United States, and I say, Hollywood. Do you know that Hollywood is not a real place? Hollywood is a circle drawn on a map of Los Angeles where the entertainment industry and their said, we need a special place. Hollywood. And every single one of you knew about the place I was talking about, even though it doesn't exist. You pick a topic, and you give people a whole system of belief around it. I'll show you some really simple examples. Let's take the idea of God, or gods, or goddesses. You pick your deity. All that we're talking about here is the topic is God, and the belief system is the religion. The religion is what to eat, how to talk, what to study, how to care for your family, right? It's a system of belief. Same thing for public governance, how we want our citizens to be managed, right? The topic is governing the public, but our political party says this is how you do it, this is how you talk about it, this is how you act and engage. Every one of you understands this. This is natural for you. Your business requires the same level of clarity, the same focus. You have to find that common topic that sits between your audiences, no matter how they are. And I want to pause you quickly. That common topic cannot be something negative. It can't be how much better you are than your competition. It can't be how you feel about the national debt or who should have the right to get married. That's not the common topic. Nobody wants to sit down at dinner with you and talk about the destruction of the world. That doesn't emotionally excite me in having dinner with you. When you're talking about your customer, that topic has to be something that can move them, something that they can focus and care about, something that every one of the audience members can gather around and cherish and celebrate and emotionally engage. Every one of you has experienced this in your personal life. You know what I'm talking about. As brand builders, it is now your responsibility in the new normal to do this strategically, to strategically assess what is the topic we most effectively represent, and what is the belief system we have put into play to truly engage our audience. Let's talk about what a belief system is. We've got our common topic. I think you get where I'm coming from there. Now let's talk about a belief system. What is a belief system? A belief system is not finite. It is not constrained. It's made up of a lot of pieces. So you pick your favorite brand, pick any organization that you truly honor and respect. I'm going to use Apple as a universal example. They're not a perfect brand by any measure, but they're a good example. Because when I say Apple has a tone of voice, they have a way in which they work with their teams. They act a certain way. They have a long-term vision that they regularly communicate. They've got consistent photography styles, consistent word usage, consistent attitudes. Those things together add up to your perception of the organization. I mean, why is it called Apple? Why isn't it called Orange? Right? Why is there a bite taken out of the apple? You don't know these things. How is it that a MacBook Pro, twice as much as a competitive device, even though they've got the same Intel processor, the same hard drive, and the same screen? Well, it's different. It feels different when I have my Mac. Please respect that this is just an emotional belief. This is something that makes you feel smarter, more technologically savvy, more younger. Whatever the nature of the device is, you respect that you've made the choice because of how it feels, not because you've rationalized the processor speed or how big the hard drive is. You don't even know how big the hard drive is in your computer. That's how far past it you've gotten. So respect that you need a topic that your audiences can gather around and a belief system that they can emotionally deeply engage. In the new normal, the only brands that will survive, the only brands that will endure this drastic change, the only brands that can defend themselves against disruptive innovators which are very scary concepts, are the ones who understand that they do need a common topic and a belief system to support that topic so that their audiences can emotionally engage. And that topic and that belief system fit perfectly into that void, the belief ecosystem. Oops. So, I know you're asking, how can brands do this? I'm going to give you the 7 rules. I'm going to tell you how we should do it, but I'm going to tell you what to not do first. I have never met a Fortune 500 global company that doesn't have focus group research dollars. Every one of you does focus groups. A focus group is not the entirety of your data. I mean, what is a focus group really? You take someone out of their normal day and you put them in a room with mirrors and strangers. And then you give them your most important thing, your product, your new communication, advertising, marketing, and you ask them in a vacuum how they feel about it. In the United States, there is a very famous orange juice brand where the brand leaders were bored, so they said, oh, let's change it. They put mother, 2 o'clock, middle of the day. When is a mother focused or in a group when buying orange juice? Never. That isn't her natural state of being. And so what focus groups are designed to do is they're designed to take 3 very different audiences and boil down their love to the single most common denominator. You know, this won't offend anybody is the answer that comes out of focus groups. I have personally facilitated focus groups all over the world. China, Germany, you pick. This is universal. Focus groups are the start. They are not the entirety of your answer. So no, you can't just do focus groups and pull from the customer who you should be. Don't you think you should ask yourself who we are and why we matter and why we believe in what we're fighting for? That's not for you to take from the consumer. And not only is it not for you to take from the consumer, but what a lot of organizations choose to do is make up their identity, to just fabricate their characters. I'll tell you, we were walking through Buenos Aires yesterday. There are a lot of McDonald's. A lot. What is McDonald's? I mean, who is Ronald McDonald? I don't know. Not only does nobody know, but whenever you see him in his clown costume, it's not the same guy every day. It's whoever they could pull off the street and put in a clown costume. And think about the rest of the story. Ronald McDonald has some best friends, right? There's the purple fat guy. And then his number two buddy is the Hamburglar, a thief who steals only hamburgers. You see how silly this is? You see how there's nothing for the audience to engage? And more importantly, the more you learn the truth about these companies, the more you hate them for lying to you for so long. So what are organizations doing instead? Oh, I know. We don't have the capability to build our own brand, so we're going to bolt ourselves on. We're going to attach ourselves to another brand. I don't know, a famous person. You know, the famous person today we're going to attach ourselves to, and that's going to build our identity. The most famous consulting firm in the world, Accenture, all have heard of Accenture, did that with Tiger Woods for 10 years. That's our guy. He represents everything that we are. And then, boom, falls from grace, loses all of his contracts. Think about what that means for the organization he was representing. So you cannot just attach your brand to someone else's brand. And not only can you not attach your brand to someone else's brand, but what all of you are doing is you are bragging about how your company is the oldest or the newest or the biggest or the fastest. And when we were walking through the city yesterday, I saw a store that said, open 25 hours. This is what you're doing now, is you're saying, well, if he's saying we're the fastest and he's saying we're the fastest, fine. We're going to be open the longest. Oh, wait a minute. There are already stores open 24 hours. Fine. We're the 25-hour store. See how insane that is? See how you're insulting the customer by suggesting something like that? And what's most important about your statistic, big or fast or whatever you are, we don't get it. We don't understand. We don't know what those numbers imply, and not only do we not know what those numbers imply, you are not the only organization trying to convince us that you're the fastest, the smartest, the coolest, the longest, whatever your word is. Every single organization in the world and all of their members are trying to tell the consumer that their organization is the best, our organization is the fastest. Consumers do not have the capacity to absorb those lies and decipher who really is the best, who really is the fastest. So this is not a brand strategy. What I want to ask you about, and the answer to this question about who we are and what we should do, is innate in this concept. Remember how I showed you earlier that by default, the consumer has all of these barriers, right? We default to question, okay? So I ask you as brand leaders, if by chance your tweet, your YouTube post happens to break through our barriers and touch us consciously or in our hearts, what do you want us to remember? Literally. You guys are in the business of stopping people and getting them to pay attention. All right, I'm paying attention now. What do you want? You want me to remember that you're the biggest, fastest, smartest, coolest? Is that what's most important? Or you want me to remember that you have the cheapest price? That's it. That's the entirety of my emotional relationship, is that I got a good deal on your product. That is not what builds advocacy. That's not what changes the way that consumers feel about the organization they're buying from. And every one of you, whether you're in business for yourself or you are a chief decision maker, you know, you make no money selling a customer one thing. All of your profit is in the second thing you've sold them, the lifetime journey of the consumer. So today, in the new normal, there is a perfect way to do this. There is an answer. It is a combination of the common topic amidst your audience and the belief system that you have constructed, your own belief system, your own attitudes, ways, words, visuals, the way that your teams work together, all of those things synchronized and communicated. That's strategic brand development. So let's talk about these rules. I think that there are 7. There may be more in time. But in the age of the digital consumer, and you as brand stewards in the new normal, I think that these 7 rules immediately apply. Every one of you was given a Google notebook, so you're welcome to bust that open. I'm going to give you one word, 7 different single words. All right, let's begin. If this is a new time in history, unlike any time before us, that means that we no longer are allowed to assume anything. I don't care who your competition was 5 years ago. I don't. Because they're not the organization you should be worrying about today. Don't tell me that you're a competitive expert. Don't tell me that you know your consumers inside and out. Because they're not the same any longer. This is the new normal. That means you need new insights, new understandings, new respect for your partners, new comprehension of your coworkers. So I'm giving you a gift here. I'm giving you permission to say to yourself and your coworkers, your agency of record, all of them, we're starting anew. Who are our competitors really today? Because if you take any of your companies, you know that there's a disruptive innovator just waiting to do something slightly different. Think about the banks who ignored Square. This is an organization that built a little device to scan credit cards and mobile phones, and they could not be growing faster, and banks are wondering where all their transactions are going. Disruptive innovation means that you can no longer think about your competition in the same way, and the same goes for your consumer. For example, international toy companies have stopped marketing themselves and recognized that, first of all, children actually do not buy toys. Parents or guardians buy toys. We're going to market to the parents differently than we market to the children. They stopped making assumptions about their audiences, respected that in the new normal, the children are now communicating regularly with one another. That means we have to try things that are different. So you now have permission in the new normal to assume nothing about the nature of your competition, your cohort, your comrades, you pick. All right, so good. We have a new set of data. We're no longer stuck in the old way. Second responsibility. And again, every single one of you knows this as a human being. Empathy. Empathy. What does empathy feel like? You know exactly what empathy feels like. You have sat across the table from somebody who sincerely listened to you and felt into your pain, your happiness. Empathy is a respect. It's an understanding that the person you are speaking to is not you. They come from a different place with different needs, different wants, different triggers. So your job as marketers, in fact, if any of your coworkers ever says, I don't like that idea. Oh, I wouldn't buy that. Good. You're not the audience. You are not the consumer. So stop telling me about your opinion. I don't care about your opinion. I only care about the emotional need of the audience. And empathy will be respected. Empathy means not only do I understand who you are, but I understand where you're coming from, what you believe in most, and why we're here to support those choices. Empathy is understanding. Traditional marketing is manipulation. All right, once we have empathized, we have a whole nother set of responsibilities. Advocate. Advocate means that not only do I like what you are, I love what you are. I am happy to publicly celebrate your lifestyle. I'll give you a perfect example that is so funny. Red Bull, you know, the energy drink that gives you wings? Gives you wings. What is that, right? Gives you wings. They have a phone number on the back of their products. And if you ask any college student about Red Bull, their answer is always, and vodka, right? They drink Red Bull and vodka as their daily beverage. And so the 800 number, they were drunk dialing. They were calling Red Bull corporate headquarters completely drunk out of their minds, leaving voicemail messages for customer support. Drunk voicemail messages for customer support. Now you could say, oh, no, we can't do anything with this. How do we stop them? How do we tell all of them, stop calling our 800 number? It's only for emergencies. No. In the new normal, what does advocacy look like? Advocacy looks like Red Bull taking all of those messages, which had dirty words and bad concepts, and put them on Facebook so people could rate them. The number one highest rated voicemail was, I've got Red Bull in my butt. I know that sounds insane, but this is the point. In the new normal, it is your job to love and respect that audience, to show them publicly that you like who they are. You like them. You think that they're great like this. You're not trying to change them. You're not trying to tell them that they're wrong. You are empathizing into who they are and supporting it publicly with your message. Once you have acquired advocacy, now you can talk about a real relationship. Any of us who's ever been in a relationship understands it's not about a single date. It's not about 5 dates. It's actually about customer journey. The customer journey. Think about this. Your body is not exposed to your organization one time. They probably heard about you, saw you online, might have seen a commercial, walked into a store, right? That customer journey has many, many stages. All right, in the new normal, it's your obligation as communicators to respect that it is not about interrupting the consumer one time. It's about engaging them over a lifetime of experiences. Relationship means I care about you more than a one-night stand. I want to be with you. I want this to continue for perpetuity. These are the types of organizations consumers in the new normal are buying from. And not only buying from, telling their friends who they're proud to buy from. In the new normal, you are not allowed to have an ad campaign. In fact, I don't want to hear about your stupid ad campaign. Your ad campaign is one thing at one point in the history of the consumer. Maybe they did it 3 times. That's not a relationship. You need an online, offline. You need a print and you need a digital. You need an all-encompassing exposure so that that audience knows that you get them, that you think like they think, and you respect where they go to consume. That's branding in the new normal. Build a relationship, none of this one-night stand nonsense. Next, it's a strange word, so I want to spend some time on it. Curate. All right, so this building is an art gallery, right? It's, by the way, beautiful. This neighborhood is beautiful. What an art gallery does is says, who's going to be coming to our art gallery? What type of person are they? What is their mentality, and what would they be interested in? And so the curator, the person responsible for the art gallery, selects the right type of art for the walls of the museum or the art gallery where their customers are going to be present. That selection takes expertise, right? It's hand selection. Well, the day and age where you could say to your customer, we make everything, we are everything to everybody, is long gone. We want specialists. We want people, organizations, nonprofits, corporations that specialize. A real basic example of this is that the BMW Group owns Rolls-Royce, BMW, and Mini Cooper. They might even their parts, but they would talk about that publicly, right? The way that that organization curates their brands is that Rolls-Royce is only ever communicated in a very niche sphere. BMW, 35-year-old executive, just finished graduate school, perfect, here we go, perfect marketing channel. Mini Cooper, young, aspirational, creative individual who wants to self-express. Even though we're just talking about transportation vehicles, right? We're talking about a place to help get from home or work or whatever the case. No. You have to curate. You have to hand select and hand communicate what your audience is most likely to engage. Why? Because if you do not curate for them, the social web will. Someone else will. Someone will take your products and your services and put them into a bundle that you do not want them to do. They'll be spoken about in the blogs that are not a reflection of your organization. So it becomes your job to truly steward the brand, to truly select what the right products are for the right audience at the right time, and only communicate those things. Because if you try to be all things to all people, it's never happened in history. You understand? If your senior executive says, no, I want the same campaign for everybody, find a new job. Find a new job, because that person is not visionary. That person does not understand that you cannot sell the same thing to everybody. We all want to feel special. We all want to have a special connection with the choices we make. Please expect that when a consumer uses their hard-earned money to buy your products, it represents something about them. It actually says something about who they are. Do they want to be like everybody else? None of us wore the same outfit today. None of us. That's how individualistic we are as beings. Brands that will survive the new normal honor this and give their customers special experiences built just for them. All right, 2 more quick rules. So, in the new normal, you no longer get to tell the customer how great you are, how special, fast, and cool you are. They'll figure that out on their own. The new normal, it's your job to empower them, to make them feel informed, intelligent, aware. Another great car example, we launched Tesla in the United States. I think you all have heard of the brand Tesla. Tesla spent no time, no money, no digital marketing dollars advertising to everybody. They hand-selected some core audiences, and they taught them about the electric car, about how it works, and where the ideas came from, and how hard it was to put these systems together. If you meet a Tesla owner, stand back. They will effusively, they will communicate so quickly with such passion because they're not trying to sell you something. They're teaching you what they learned. And every one of you knows how that feels. When you teach something to somebody, something that you know and love, how different it feels, you're not being sold, you're not selling, you're connecting. There's something innate inside humans that drives us to teach. Brands in the new normal are not going to advertise. They're not going to market. They're not going to do public relations. They're going to use those channels to teach the audience so that that audience feels aware and empowered. And in fact, you know how bad it feels when someone looks at you and says, "Oh, I see that you like X." And you say, "Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got it for free," or "My mother likes it." Or you ask somebody, "What's your favorite band?" And they say, "I like all music." No, you don't like death metal. You don't like all music. And you respect that the consumer said, "I like all things," because they feel stupid. They don't feel like they have an answer to the question. In the new normal, in the social web, nobody wants to be asked a question that they do not have the answer to. It makes them look stupid. So brands who are aware of this stand up for that consumer and empower them, help them understand the nature of the product and the category and how it works and why it should relate to them. And that consumer becomes the advocate, the most powerful marketing tool available in the social web. Companies can post as much as they want. Field day posting as much as you want in the social web. You know that when a consumer speaks on your behalf, that is worth millions. That's the sixth rule of the new normal. And the final rule, the final responsibility in this new psyche, in this new way of thinking, in the new normal, is that you can no longer just make money. I'm sorry, big company, that you have a little extra profit, so you're going to give it to some charity tomorrow. That is not philanthropy. That is not caring for the consumer or the world around you. That's you doing a PR stunt. That's the senior executive saying, "Wow, my bonus is really big this year. Maybe we'll give $10,000, $100,000 to some other nonprofit." Not only is that false, but your employees know that you're doing it for the tax write-off. They know you're doing it so you can brag about it to all your customers and to your shareholders. In the new normal, this isn't going to work. The only thing that's going to work is real action. Not money, not words, your time. Your time. I don't care if you're an account planner at an ad agency. I don't care if you're the chief marketer at a global manufacturer. It doesn't matter. Something about you is a specialist, and that time should be given away. I don't care what you make. There is a consuming audience who doesn't have the resource or the time to engage your product. I'll give you an example at Innovation Protocol. So we're a brand strategy consulting firm, and we've got Fortune 100s all over the world asking us for guidance on strategic brand development. Every employee, every day, has to give away 10% of their time. Every day. So that nonprofit that doesn't know how to explain what makes them special, or that philanthropy that's trying to save a particular community, they're specialists at saving the community. They're not specialists at communicating. So we take our hard-earned time and give it away for free 10% of the time. I respect that that is also a marketing strategy, isn't it? But what's most important here is that our most valuable asset is our expertise and time, and that's true philanthropy in the new normal. And that becomes your responsibility. For all of you digital marketers in the room, you already know so much more about digital communication than any nonprofit has ever known. So spend 1 hour a month with a local nonprofit just answering their questions about how the digital universe works and how social media can engage their donors. That's it. And you will understand how different your life feels. Well, the consumer in the new normal wants to see action. They don't want to see you scraping off profit and saying nice things about some nonprofit. That doesn't count. Not only doesn't count, it feels inauthentic. So we talked about 7 concepts today. We talked about assuming nothing about our audiences. This is a new mentality. We have permission to let go of everything that we used to know and understand. We have permission to assume nothing. We assume nothing, and especially about our audience, because we come to respect them so much that we empathize. We feel into what they're going through. We feel into what they're going through. And once we have understood what it is they are, we advocate for it. We celebrate publicly. We make sure everybody knows and understands that we like who they are. We like how they act, and we celebrate that with gusto. Once we have figured out how to advocate on their behalf, now we can get into the details. Now we can start building a relationship with them over time, and not only building a relationship with them over time, but curating, helping them, talking to them only in their words, and only offering the products and services that are right for them. This whole, how many Facebook likes or plus ones is my campaign getting? Stop asking that question. How do you monetize a plus one or a like? You're relationship building. You should be celebrating how many relationships you're establishing and how you're going to sustain those relationships over time. Talk to me about consistent consumer visits to your Facebook page or your Google Plus profile over a year. I'll talk to you then. Now let's understand how you've truly engaged your customer. So as you're building this relationship in the new normal and curating on behalf of your customers, you owe it to them to teach, not market. Help them learn. Help them become an expert in their own right. Lastly, hopefully, if you're making money, which I wish all of you, I wish all the nonprofits had no challenges with their finances. But when you eventually do start to create profit, it's your obligation in the new normal to show the world that you care. Because these are the brands that are going to endure, because I promise all of you as personal brands, as nonprofits, as agency executives, I promise you, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to trip. You're going to make a mistake. There isn't a business or a religion or a corporation in history that hasn't made a mistake. All right? Do you want to bet your entire equity, all of your value on being perfect? We've never met perfect. So the organizations that we believe in are dynamic. They have identities. They have a relationship that we can engage and fall in love with over time. These are the rules of the new normal. These are your responsibilities as brand leaders in a time unlike any time before, and you should be excited. You really should. This is a gift. These are new opportunities that have never existed before. That means that you, as an aware, digitally savvy brand leader, can actually change the future. Welcome to the new normal. I hope you're as excited as I am. Thank you.